Hey, what is going on, everyone? My name is Adam, and I am the founder and CEO of CMOLift.com. And today we are going to go over how to run a Facebook ad and how to do correctly. What are some new different strategies that are coming or that we use personally on a day to day basis? This is a personal ad account. I don't use it, but I figured it might be a good place to start for those who may have something that looks something similar to this, or that maybe they don't have much inside of Facebook. And so, for this particular one, what we're going to do is go over the basics. And the basics of this are there's three parts to a Facebook ad. You have campaign, ad set, and ads. And what are the differences and how to navigate through this whole ads account. And by the way, if you don't have an ads account, um, go find a video on how to create one. It's the easiest way I could explain it. But basically, let's just say you already do have an ad account. You may run into an issue of not being able to find your ad account. And if that's the case, it may be in this drop down box up here. And you should be able to have your other ad accounts in there. So without further ado, I'm going to get into this. So there's three parts to an ad on Facebook. You have campaigns, you have ad sets, and then you have ads. Campaign is going to be dealing with what is your objective? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to do phone calls? Are you trying to do website visits? Are you trying to do lead generation, right? What is it that you're trying to accomplish on Meta's platform? And that's where you choose it at right there. The ad set is where you're going to be doing all of your targeting, all of your budgeting, how long you're going to run the ad, where your ad's going to be placed at on Facebook. Are you going to place it in newsfeed? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? That's all handled in the ad set, along with dynamic, which, by the way, we're going to go over dynamic. That is the biggest thing that we use, and I'm really excited to go over that because it's not something that we generally put out in the open, but might as well. It's Thursday. Why not, right? So the other one are ads. So this is actually what people are seeing whenever they do scroll through their timeline on Facebook or Instagram, right? Because they're both run on the same platform. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to run through a simple campaign, and then after we do that, once everyone has the gist of exactly what every step is, then we can kind of get into some more advanced stuff, I guess, right? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to be able to create an ad. And so if your ad is blank, you should have two different ways to do it. There should be a button right here in the middle that says create an ad, or right here, the green button says create. So we're going to hit create. And so right now where it says create a new campaign. So as I mentioned before, there's three parts to an ad: campaign, ad set, and ads. So right now we're actually doing the campaign component of it. And so we're going to click leads because let's just do a lead gen ad, right? And we're going to continue. I always do manual. And now it's going to populate this. And you're going to see three different things. You're going to see campaign, ad set, and ad. Campaign, ad set, and ad. So you can actually navigate between these three, or depending on how many you have, you can navigate between these based on these buttons up here or on the side. Personally, I like using the side. On top, it's just, I guess it's more of like a convenience thing if your mouse is already right there. But you can actually go through and sift through it just like you can on the side right here. And so since we've already done the ads or the campaign version of it, generally what I recommend doing is going back and doing a double check and confirming, making sure that the ad that you're running is not a protected ad category or could run the risk of being in a protected ad category. So for example, I ran an ad a while ago and I was trying to advertise to real estate agents. And what I did was I had a sign in a yard, like a for sale sign in a yard, and Facebook flagged that as being a special ad category because it looked like I was selling a house. And so in that scenario, what you'd want to do is make sure that you categorize your ads. And so right here on the campaign objective where it says special ad categories, you have a few different options. You have credit, you have employment, you have housing, which is the one that Facebook wanted me to do. I just ended up not doing it. Or you have social issues and politics, right? Which, by the way, if you're going to do politics, you have to get approved, submit your ID, a whole bunch of other stuff. So try to stay away from those, and also just make sure that your ad is not going to be construed or perceived as any of these categories. A quick tip is if you go to ChatGPT and you go to Facebook's advertising policy, or right here where it says special ad categories, you can upload your text and all the ad policies into ChatGPT and say, hey, does my ad go against any of these? Which is going to help you kind of preemptively double check whether or not it's going to be a approved or disapproved ad. And by the way, there's a kind of a scale of approved ads and not approved ads, and you want to make sure you have way more approved ads than you do unapproved ads, okay? But anyway, let's just say you don't have any special ad categories, right? Then we're going to go to the ad set component of it, which is where we're going to figure out where we're going to put this ad, how much money are we going to put into it, what page we're going to do, are we doing dynamic, are we doing lead forms, are we doing website visits, what are we doing to generate leads? And so what I do is instant forms. And once you go to instant forms, you can choose the Facebook page that you want to use. And a lot of times, especially if it's a new ad account, you're going to want to hit accept terms. Generally, I don't use performance goal, I don't use cost per result goal, but I do use dynamic ad creative. And I'm going to read this just verbatim, just so that way you can understand what it is. Dynamic creative provides creative elements such as images and headlines, and will automatically generate combinations optimized for a specific audience. Variations may include different formats, templates, audio based on one or more elements, right? So for example, you can have up to 10 different images on one ad set, one ad budget, and Facebook's going to find the most relevant ad to that person. So for example, let's say you have 10 different ads, and well, let's just say you have a red, blue, and a green ad, right? You have those three, and right now you're targeting people who like the color blue, and so Facebook's going to say, okay, these people have an interest in the color blue, I'm going to show them the blue ad, right? So Facebook's going to automatically figure out what is going to be relevant to that audience, which is game changer, right? Another question I get asked a lot too is budget. How much budget do I need to do? Can I do $5? Can I do 10? Can I do 20? Like what is it? Because they don't really give you a good idea of what to expect aside from the estimated daily results, which by the way is not accurate in any way, shape, or form unless you have historical campaign data. Then it becomes a little bit more accurate. So what I always recommend is doing at least $30 a day. You can get away with doing less, but you also have to realize that you're going to be reaching a lot of people. So Facebook is going to want to have a plenty of ad budget to go around depending on how big your audience size is. And generally you want to keep it above 500,000 is what we've always done, and it's worked out great. And the smaller the ad budget, the smaller the audience, and so on. And so I always recommend doing at least 30 plus. Realistically, if you could afford it and swing it, I would do 45 as your minimum. But you know, you can go up from there, right? It just depends on whatever your budget is. And a lot of people get freaked out too when, especially on a new ad account and you're starting to run ads, you'll see like $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, $1.50 charges on your account, and you're like, what is going on? And you have to build up a relationship with the ads manager in order to batch out at a less frequent rate. So for example, our batch out period is 1,000, right? So every $1,000 that we spend, Facebook takes it out of our account. So you know, as you start to run more ads, that is going to become less frequent, and it's going to become a bigger amount the more you start to run ads with Facebook. And so that is, and I'll just turn on dynamic, but that is dynamic, and that's budget. I also don't set an end date unless I'm boosting a post which I very rarely boost post. The only time I would boost a post is like if I wanted to generate engagement on a post to show that, people are actually looking at the profile, because it doesn't matter how many followers you have. Facebook doesn't really reward that anymore. It's all about paid. So if you want to boost a post, maybe do $5 for one day, $10 for one day, something along the lines of that. Now here's the other thing that you want to focus on too, is audience. And Facebook changes this up a lot. As of right now, 2024 in July, this is what we got. So you have audience controls, you have locations, show more options, advantage, save audience, and then switch to original audience options. I'm a huge fan of this, by the way. Switch to original audience, use original audience, and then boom, there we go. Now we're in the original audience side of things. And here you can mess with age, you can do gender, you can do demographics, and depending on what you're trying to accomplish, there is a, let me see. I think this is it right here. Huh. Well, I guess they don't exist anymore. There was a website that I bought a lifetime subscription to called Interest Explorer, and apparently it's available on GoDaddy. So head on over there and pick that up. Anyway, so when it comes to targeting, you can do a lot of different things, and the easiest way to do it is to start with one. So for example, let's say you're doing SaaS and you're wanting to target B2B companies, which in B2B, depending on what your offer is great on Facebook. That's solely what we use is lead generation on Facebook when it comes to B2B. So if you're doing a B2B offer, for example, I would recommend targeting page admin. So you get a page, and actually, you know what? Let's do admin. Maybe page admin. Let's try that. Page admin. So Facebook page admins is the name of it. So we'll go from there. Then here's the cool part of what Facebook does. Click on suggestions. And from there, you can actually find other relevant topics. Now, you don't want to put too many because that's going to segment down your audience too thin. I recommend doing like maybe 4 or 5. So if you want to think about how this whole thing works, you want to, if you could imagine a pie, and the entire audience on Facebook is the entire pie, and what you're trying to do is point Facebook in the right direction so Facebook can find your right audience, right? And that's an issue that a lot of people have, is finding the right audience, right? That's why what we do, generally speaking, when we're running ads, we used to do this a while back when we did interest. Now everything we do is data driven, and that'll be for another video. But when, let's say you don't have access to data and you don't know how to create a custom audience or anything like that, and you want to do B2B, you could do something like this. You could target business page admins, you could target Facebook page admins, you could get very specific and do health and beauty page admins, really depending on what you want. So from there, we'll just put these 2 in here. And then I always recommend checkboxing this advantage detailed targeting. Facebook's going to expand that audience if it can't latch on to the audience that you choose, which I highly recommend doing. And then here you can see that on a $20 budget, it said I can expect to do 28 to 82 leads a day, which again is not always accurate. So now that is the audience side of things. That's the ad set. Now we're going to run into ads. One thing I have noticed on the ad side of things is that when you come down here, and maybe this one doesn't have it, but sometimes you're going to run into having an AI generated ad text or headline or whatever the case may be. Do not use those. There is a glitch as of July 11th that if you use dynamic and you also use the AI generated content that Facebook puts in here, you're going to run into a lot of issues. We don't know why it is, but that's just the issue that it runs into. Now, to let you know what the different types of ads or what each one is, so as you're scrolling through your Facebook page and you find an ad that says sponsored, The ad above the image or video is going to be the primary text. Okay? The headline is what's going to go underneath the primary image or video. And then the description is going to be underneath the headline. Generally speaking, I only do primary text and headline, and you can make a couple of them if you'd like. It really just depends on what it is that you want. And generally, I always do learn more as my call to action. And now, here you go. You can see that we have a lead form in here. You're probably not going to have one of those. But I'm going to show you some pretty cool tips that we've used in the past to generate self-booked appointments on a very consistent basis. We haven't had to cold call since 2016. So it's worked for us ever since then. So from here, what you want to do is, for me, we always do more volume. And then if you go to intro right here, I believe you can actually remove the greeting. It's just one less thing to worry about. And now we're going to go to questions. I always recommend that when you're going to questions, you could do all the pre-fill ones you want, and we'll get to that actually after this. But I always recommend that you have at least one or two questions to kind of filter out the people who accidentally click on your ad. You get a lot of those. So for example, if you're doing roofing and you're running an ad, you could say, hey, when can we come out and take a look at your roof? And then you do a multiple choice, and you do ASAP, 1 to 2 days, 2 to 4 days, and then 5 to 7 days, and let that be the answer, and then you move on to the next one. Another one, especially with the TCPA and the FCC kind of cracking down on AI, and I know a lot of people like to implement AI into their business, this is a great time to make sure that all of your leads are going to be compliant. Now, mind you, this is not legal advice, but this is where that you want to put some sort of verbiage where it says you agree to be contacted regarding this ad, and you agree to be contacted by real and artificial voices regarding this ad. And then you could also add in their AI texting, AI emailing, and just cover your bases, because you don't want a fine, essentially, right? Another thing I recommend doing is deleting full name, going into ad category, hover over contact fields, slowly move over this one because it's kind of finicky and it'll move. I'm sorry, user information, and do first name, user information, last name, contact fields, phone number. And the reason why I like to separate first name and last name is because of marketing purposes and also for CRMs. So for example, if you have Go High Level and you're trying to map out where your data is going to be coming from, you want to be able to match first name to first name, last name to last name, phone number to phone number. And then you can go ahead and hit create the form. And I'll just throw in some random stuff in here. Hit create. Oh, sorry. Now, normally, I guess they changed this too. So now you want to put a privacy policy. Generally, if you don't have one, you know, you could use ClickFunnels or something like that, or a landing page that you're using on your website. But make sure you have a privacy policy in here. You put the link here, and then you could also just type in privacy policy right here, and so that way it's just going to read privacy policy versus the whole entire link whenever someone's reading it. And you can see kind of what people are looking at inside of this as well. So this is the privacy policy portion, and you can see right here where it says privacy policy, and it's just a hyperlink. Now that we're done, now you can have a message for the leads, and this is where the magic happens. Delete this, and in all caps put wait, exclamation point, one more step, exclamation point. Now this one more step can be whatever it is that you want it to be, but this is how we generally run ads. So we do wait, one more step, for a faster response, please click the book call here button below. Or for a faster response, click call us now on the button below. So it really depends on whatever your call to action is. But for us, it's going to be a website. It's going to be a Calendly link that's going to be very specific to this offer. So we're going to put the link there, and then we're going to put book call here in all caps, and you can see this is what it looks like. And so this is going to help filter out those people who are really serious. We generate probably at the moment about 10 to 15 leads a day from our ads, and I'd say about half book. We don't generally call the other half, so only the people that are booking on our calendars are the one that we book. Even then you run into a lot of no-shows, so you just got to make sure you do volume at that point. And that is the gist of how to run a Facebook ad. The way that we run it, in that we've generated thousands and thousands and thousands of leads using this process, especially on the dynamic side of things. And some ideas whenever you're creating those dynamic ads is going on Canva, making all the backgrounds a different color. So let's say you have one really good ad and you really don't know a specific ad to add on to that, to add to, and there's a lot of adding, to add on to the dynamic creatives. Then let's say you have one great ad and you have a background. All you have to do is change the background from black, duplicate that ad, or duplicate that image, and then change the background from black to white, right? Or from white to yellow, from yellow to a gradient. And so that way you have different variations, and Facebook's going to find those people who match well with those particular ad creatives, and you never know which one's going to be the best one. You might think this one's a grand slam home run, I only need one ad. Highly recommend making at least 4 to 6 different variations of it. So hopefully this helped. This is how to run ads, essentially. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as they come in. All right, see you later.